What's up, bud? It's Rob. This is Apparel Success. And in this video here, I want to talk to you about how to finally pay yourself through your clothing brand, okay? I want to answer questions like, how do you know how much to pay yourself? Is it too early? Is it too late? And is there ever a right time to pay yourself, okay? It should be a really good episode. It should be really different from the normal topics that I make. And stay tuned. I want to start this video off by letting you know that I am not a chartered accountant, okay? My partner Shane handles all the finances for our clothing brand, and I'm actually in charge of the creative aspects like marketing, social media, and design work. But we do go over it together and we do pay ourselves together and go over all the finances. So I do have a basic understanding of how this works, and I still think it will really help you a lot to understand that. So that's what I want to share with you in this video here. K-Bud Apparel has been running now for 18 months, and believe it or not, up until this month, we hadn't paid ourselves a single cent from our brand. We'd actually decided as a team that we're going to reinvest all of our profits back into the company to make sure that it grows and becomes really healthy and is thriving before we decide to pay ourselves. Now, we just had an insane November, okay? An absolutely insane November for our clothing brand. And we talked amongst each other and we said, okay, I think we're at the point now where we can finally pay ourselves, scrape a little bit off the surface, and be able to pay ourselves and still reinvest some of the money back into the business to make sure that it continues to grow. During the first 18 months, there were definitely times where we could have paid ourselves, but we opted not to because we really wanted to grow the brand at a quick rate and really give it that boost so that it's growing really healthy and it's thriving, okay? Now, there are two main reasons why it's really important to pay yourself at some point, okay? Number one, morale, okay? It just feels good to pay yourself, all right? It feels like a reward and it keeps you going, it keeps you motivated, and it keeps you happy. And you know, if you're running the business and you're happy, it means you're gonna be making better decisions and you know, you're gonna be able to help the business a lot more if you feel like you're being nourished. The second reason why it's actually helpful to pay yourself is for budgeting, okay? When you finally decide to pay yourself from your profits, that leaves a smaller amount of money to be allocated to your expenses, okay? And when you have a smaller amount of money to spend, it forces you to be tighter on your budget and to spend your money wisely. Now, when do I know when it's the right time to finally decide to pay myself from my clothing brand? Well, this is actually a really difficult question to answer universally because it really depends on what your outcomes are that you're trying to get from your clothing brand. If you're creating a clothing brand that's not for profit, or you know you're trying to give some away to charity, it's going to largely affect when to take out money. If you're trying to create a clothing brand so that you can quit your day job and do this full time, it's going to largely affect how you pay yourself from your clothing brand. And if you're trying to build your clothing brand into this giant beast that you'll eventually be able to sell for millions of dollars, it will also affect how you go about paying yourself. So I want you to know that my answer to this question is going to be catered to those of you who want to pay yourselves a little bit so that you can feel rewarded and be motivated, but where your main focus is still in continuing to grow your brand, okay? Because that's how we're going about it, so that's the type of information that I want to share with you. So the first rule of thumb that I want to share with you here is that you always want to pay yourself from your profits and you don't want to pay yourself from your revenue, which means that every month you should be calculating your profits. Now, how do you calculate your profit? Well, the way that you calculate your profit is you add up your revenues, so the amount of money that came in, and you subtract your expenses, okay? And whatever's left over is what you profited that month. So let's say you brought in $10,000 worth of revenue last month, okay? What we're gonna do is we're gonna put that aside, and then we're going to calculate all of the expenses that we made last month as well, okay? And what's included in your expenses are things like cost of goods, okay? Every product that you sold, you want to calculate how much you made that product for, and then you're gonna add up all of your cost of goods, and that's going to be added to your expenses. Then you're gonna wanna add things like website hosting, you know, your domain charges for your monthly domain, things like free promotional things that you give away, your stickers. All of these things are expenses. You want to add up all of those. So let's say that at the end of last month, your expenses came out to $6,000. Well, then you're going to want to minus $6,000 of your expenses from your revenue of $10,000, and you're left with $4,000 worth of profit that month. Now, when you're finally left with that $4,000 profit, you don't want to necessarily just take all your profit and pay yourself with it, because that profit is actually what's going to allow your business to continue to grow, okay? So the way that we did it in our business with my business partner, we decided that a healthy rate to pay ourselves and to also continue to grow our clothing brand was to take 30% of our profit to pay ourselves, which means that we each get 15% of that profit each, because we're splitting that, and then reinvest the other 70% of our profit back into the business, okay? So if you made $4,000 in profit last month, that means that 30% of that profit would be $1,200, $1,200 that you could potentially pay yourself with, and then reinvest the remaining profit back into the company to continue growing it and to keep it growing, okay? Because at the end of the day, you want to keep growing your clothing brand as quickly as possible. I was really hesitant to make a video talking about the financial aspect of running a clothing brand, because I feel like that's just not one of my strengths, okay? I'm way more that creative mind where I like to think about branding and get really deep into, the emotional aspect of creating a clothing brand and marketing and all that stuff. And my business partner, like I said earlier, is the one who's really mechanical minded and able to put numbers together and figure out, the business infrastructure. But I still decided to put this video out because I do believe that I have a pretty good base of knowledge now, and I have paid myself finally, so I figured I'm, able to actually put out content to help you if you were wondering how to finally go about paying yourself. I'd really like to know about whether or not you liked this video, and if it helped you, leave a message in the comments below and let me know what you think about this video. Otherwise, if you've made it to this point in the video, I want to tell you about the closed Facebook group that we have going on for Apparel Success. There's a link in the description below. Follow that link. Join us in the Facebook group. We're a bunch of clothing brand owners all in there to support each other and answer each other's questions. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.